Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about social media optimization. What is social media? Well, social media are platforms such as Facebook or Twitter. People, by using those platforms, can share information, communicate, interact with each other. Due to the enormous popularity and effectiveness of these platforms, nowadays almost every business emphasizes or dedicate on working with their Facebook or Twitter accounts. For example, in Taiwan, almost half of our population now has Facebook account. For any business that interests in interacting with those people, they have to go to Facebook and try to set up their business through pages on their Facebook account. Social media can facilitate interactive communication of message between business and its customers, suppliers, or any stakeholders. Through these communications, company can build up certain relationship that will facilitate business conduct or future transactions. In the previous section, we have introduced some of the concepts and how to operate on social media and do social networking. In this section, we will introduce some success factors in operating social media. For business who has decided to do social networking on the internet and try to set up relationship with their customers, there is something that you have to bear in mind. The first success factors on operating your social media is to emphasize on the person-to-person relationship. Even though most of the company might prefer that they want to set up a social media account based on their own company instead of a person, you have to notice that it will be far easier for you to set up a person-to-person relationship instead of a company-to-person relationship with your customer. Most of the people are not so familiar or, not so willing to have relationship with a company because from their point of view, the company is an organization. Their relationship is more financial based and business oriented. So it will be easier for you to set up a relationship based on a real person. For example, the CEO of your company. Here in Taiwan, we have an example. This is a blog set up by a very famous bike company in Taiwan. The company is the KHS Bike Company. Instead of setting up a blog for his own company, the CEO of the KHS, Mr. Xie, decided that he would set up his own blog, the KHS Bike School. So on this KHS Bike School blog, he not only introduced the products, the business strategy of his own company, but also Mr. Xie is an enthusiastic biker. So he will share all his biking activity and teach people how to be a happy and professional biker. When he decides to go biking somewhere, he will share his plan and invite other bikers to join them. So through this kind of person-to-person relationship, Mr. Xie and his company successfully gather a whole bunch of people. They are great bikers with a close relationship with Mr. Xie. And they are willing to support the KHS company and actively join a lot of different online or offline activities with Mr. Xie and KHS. Even though every bike company put a lot of effort on social networking, when you try to do some marketing campaign, you will realize that Mr. Xie and his company have far more stronger support compared to other bike company in Taiwan, because he decided his social media is based on person-to-person relationship. The second success factor for operating on social media is clearly present who are you. Provide any detailed information about who you are, what you like, or such kind of things. People love to know you and get more information from you. By doing that, will make people more trust on you. A lot of companies have decided that they won't say anything but good things about themselves. So they put all the propaganda on the social media. Well, in the old days, this might be a good idea, but no longer. Because on social media, people want to know the real person. Real person might make mistakes. Real person might have daily lives, just like an ordinary people. So make yourself real will make people more willing to understand you, talk to you, and more important, willing to accept what you have done to them. So here is an example. Fire department and firefighters in Taiwan. In the past, fire department is closed themselves from the general public. But some conflicts have happened because during an emergency, such as firefighting, it's very easy for you to break into arguments with people. So the firefighter have decided that they want to present a real character for firefighters through the social medias. Then every time when they have any social activities, they will share those experiences with people through social media. By doing this, people gradually have a more positive image to the fire department. More important, if anything goes wrong, people will take more positive point of view to see what has happened instead of asking for a perfect service from the fire department. Because we all know to provide a perfect service for firefighters is quite impossible. Even though you would like to share your personal information or your company detailed information on social medias, you have to remember one thing, that you probably won't want to share 100% real you on the social media. Real person are too complex for others to understand through communication on the internet. You can get angry. Sometimes you are pessimistic, sometimes you are optimistic, and sometimes you get very sad, sometimes you feel happy. Communication through the internet and social media is like to communicate through only by written letters. There is no way for people to understand what had happened and make you very angry. If you behave directly on the social media, from your customer point of view, they might believe that you are so unpredictable. Because you know, from their observation, Well, sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are very angry, all without any reasonable reason. So preserve your predictability is the key issue on social media. My advice would be, well, you will act like an actor on your social media. In a drama or a novel, major character will be set by the author and the actor will perform these characters. So if you are reading Harry Potter, for example, you will know that Harry Potter has clear character that is different from other fellows in the novel. So you have to bear in mind that every time when you go to social media and communicate with others, you have to remember what you have decided to characterize yourself in the social media. As we have mentioned previously, Mr. Xie, for example, he will present himself as an enthusiastic biker who also produces bikes. So that is his character, and he has to maintain that character on the social media to make sure every time when he was communicating with others, they will get the idea that, hey, this man, that is Mr. Xie, is an enthusiastic biker. Another critical success factor for your social media conduct is that you have to share stories, interesting stories with your audience. For example, in Taiwan, there are quite a lot of shops selling umbrellas. So people tend to buy umbrella from those traditional umbrella shops. But when you decide that you would like to sell your umbrella on the internet, then one problem is that if it's so easy for them to go to a traditional shop and buy an umbrella from the shop, why people would like to go to your internet shop? Well, through social medias, Umbrella King in Taiwan share almost every story behind your umbrellas. Because when people produce umbrella, the designer will base on certain idea that what kind of people will use this umbrella under which circumstances. So that will make a great story about the umbrella. But most of the time, in a physical shop, buyers don't have time to understand those ideas. Since the stories are very interesting, people love to know the story behind this umbrella. So Umbrella King put all those stories about the umbrella on its Facebook and blog. And after reading those stories, people will get touched and want to buy what umbrella from the Umbrella King. With the help from its Facebook and blogs, Umbrella King can create a very successful umbrella selling business on the internet. For most of the businessmen, they might consider, well, their business is a very serious business. So they always conduct their business in a serious manner. But if you decide to go to social medias, you have to remember that most of the people who have joined the social medias are not intended to interact or communicate with you seriously or to do the real business with you. So put those serious materials for your audience, well, it's not a good idea. You might want to make your content more amused. So in Taiwan, there is a rice farmer called Xiao Jian Jian, who decided he would like to sell his rice on the internet. You know, rice is the principal food that Taiwanese are eating. For us, rice is kind of boring. At the very beginning, when Xiao Jianjian had established his Facebook's fan page, Mr. Xiao Jianjian wanted to introduce the way he farmed his farm and how good and how delicious his rice is. Well, it cannot be quite successful because most of the people, when they are surfing on the internet or on the Facebooks, they are looking for something that is interesting. Mr. Xiao Jianjian then decided to portray himself as a very young and humorous rice farmer. He has put a lot of video on the internet to introduce the way he makes jokes when he's taking care of his farm. And since the material are so amused, after watching those videos, a lot of people decide that they would like to taste the rice from Mr. Xiao Jianjian. So he became a very famous farmer and also a successful internet marketer here in Taiwan. The next success factor is be yourself. Traditionally, companies will promote their product or service through advertising. Since advertising is one-way communication, so most of the business intend to portray itself as a company that can provide perfect, wonderful service or products. But we all know it's quite unlikely that any company can actually produce a perfect product for his customers. But, well, advertising is one-way communication. To put yourselves on advertising in that way seems like a good idea because, well, unsatisfied customers have no way to tell their story. But you have to remember that in social media on the internet, it is always a two-way communication. So when you disappointed your customer or your stakeholders, it will be very easy for them to post their comments on the internet and destroy your positive image. It is a simple human nature that e-marketers have to remember. As human beings, your customers are more likely to read and remember the bad news instead of the good news about you. So one bad news probably will destroy the whole positive image that you have worked so hard to build up. So be yourself means you have to ensure that everything you have promised on the internet and social media, you will fulfill it. And if you cannot, no matter what the cost is, it is your entire fault. So just say, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. First, and try to do something to make up. Never try to blame for the others because that usually will make customers even angrier. Once the angry customer take action against you, usually it will create disaster to your operation on the internet. When you communicate with someone on the social media, most of the time, from your point of view, it is one-to-one communication. For example, if one customer raises a question to you, you will have to respond to his question and you want to reply specifically according to his question, right? But that may not be a good idea if you do so, because there is no real one-to-one communication on the social medias. Every time when you reply or you post any information on your Facebooks or your Twitter, there will be hundreds or thousands of people, an audience will follow or watch your response. So remember, you are not talking to one but 1,000 people. You have to make sure that the 1,000 audience who have followed your conversation will feel your response is proper and fair. If you fail to do so, you might not only anger one of your customers, but also make hundreds or thousands of audience feel angry about you too. And that probably will create disaster to your internet business. So try to remember, no matter what you say or what you post on internet, you have audience who will watching your message, not only today, maybe even 1 or more years later. So actually, you are not communicating with the person who raised the question. You are communicating with all the possible audience on the social media. The next success factor for your social media and conducts is you would like to build up communal relationship between you and your customers. A communal relationship means now you become the friends of your potential customers or your audience. This will bring up an interesting decision. The decision is, since you have so many potential customers, do you like to make them all become your friends? Well, communal relationship usually means you have to pay many attentions. You have to directly communicate with those people. If your audience is a huge crowd, then it will be very hard for you to serve all these people and build up person-to-person communal relationship with each of them. So here, you will try to build up a group of people who become the opinion leaders. Opinion leaders are the people who are willing to share their experience with their friends, and people would like to follow their advice. So they will actually influence other people's decision about whether they would like to buy your products or use your service. So it will be a great idea for you to try to set up a communal relationship with the opinion leaders through social media. And especially if you can directly communicate with opinion leaders through one-to-one communication tool, such as the MSN. It will be easier for you to set up close relationship with those people and convince those people to promote or to help you on your business conduct. And at last, the critical success factor for your social media conduct is that try to remember that even though it is possible for you to create some kind of virtual reality to make your customer or your audience experience your service or your product through the internet, but there are certain limitations to their internet experience, because all they can do on the internet are watching and listening. But people can be more touched if it is the real thing that he can physically encounter. When you meet face to face with your customer, when you try to present, for example, your cake in a real environment, now your potential customer can touch, can feel, can taste your cake. The feeling can be so real that it can generate much stronger impact to your target audience. So it's very important that you can integrate some physical encounter into your e-business conducts on the internet. with your potential customer. Now in Taiwan, even a temple, a farm, or a bakery, all of them are operated on their own social media activity. But all of them will periodically host some event and invite their audience on the social media to join those events and have opportunity to face-to-face encounter with them. And after those physical activities, those people will go back to your social media and communicate with you. But now they will feel more like you, more like your friends. And they will be more likely to give their support to you after the physical encounter. So reality can be even more important on the virtual world. You should periodically try to make the opportunity for your customer to physically encounter with you and your company. The internet is a highly competitive environment. You have so many competitors on the internet. In order to compete with those competitors, company will have to build up relationship with their potential customers. Here, the social media can be an important tool for small and medium-sized enterprises for their relationship management on the internet. Social media optimization, then, can be critical for the success of your business on the internet. So, thank you for your listening. Thank you.